how do you all feel? The moment is here.
Oh my gosh. First thing that comes to mind is absolutely exhausted. Just the emotions and just even the culmination to this day, just all the pieces that go into it, and of course wanting it to be perfect. And have you ever tried to coordinate 8 women to do anything? I mean, hello.
Same emotions and same feelings for you?
I'm not sure if it's quite hit me yet because it's such a huge moment. And I don't know if I've had huge moments like this in my life before. And I think you just live them, right? But to know what you feel like in the moment, I haven't quite put my finger on that yet. So, but a little tired, lots of excitement. I think the feeling that I feel the most is gratitude. Yeah. Profound sense of gratitude.
Yes.
Definitely. Okay, take me back to the moment for you, 20 years, but take me back to the moment where you said it's time for a monumental shift for Austin Woman, because this is monumental.
Yes, and I don't know that it was a moment per se, but it's been a building. You know, I've known, you know, when you've done something 20 years, you start reflecting a lot and really thinking about what's next. And as I sort of was looking at what is this next thing, and what does the magazine need, and I knew what we had committed to, especially deeply these last several years in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that was definitely at the forefront of my mind. How do I continue doing this? Austin has exploded. Even while we were all locked away in our houses, how do I continue doing this? And so it was really the moment that it was, you know, I thought about it for a long time. At the moment, the epiphany moment came when I was sort of like, hold on a minute. I don't have to do this by myself. Why does it have to be one woman? My first question is, okay, why does it have to be a white woman doing this? Why does this have to be one woman? And if I truly want to continue this legacy that I think that we have created, but it's an ongoing commitment, right? It doesn't stop. How could I build a structure that would actually allow for that? And of course I thought, you know, okay, this is brilliant, but I'm kind of crazy too. I didn't know how anybody would react to this. And that's when I approached the first 2 women, and we were, you know, by the pool drinking margaritas, the truth be told. And I said, hey, I want to throw this idea out to you. And they were 2 diverse women who were dear friends. And one of them, Neha Sempat and Terry Mitchell. And I said, what would you guys think about this? I mean, do you think this would even interest anybody? And they both were like, what? Are you serious? And I was like, yeah, I'm actually serious. I'm ready. And they were both like, I'm in. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, what do you mean you're in? They're like, no, we're in. Now let's figure out who else.
Wow.
And we went to dinner that night and started talking about like how this structure could be. So now what we've done is we've actually built it into the ownership structure. I mean, these are owners. These aren't just, I'm asking a bunch of board members to come on and, you know, fly my diversity flight. These women they're buying in, they're putting their money where their mouth is and really deepening this commitment.
And so how did this happen? did you have time?
I have no idea. I can't wait to hear this from your perspective.
No, from my perspective, right. So I had gotten to know Sharonda because she actually won one of our Women's Way Business Awards for our I Am Austin Woman, which is sort of our Lifetime Achievement Award, if you will. And I'd gotten to know her then, and then she served on the selection committee with me. And so I'd gotten to know her a little bit, and I just knew I loved the way she led, I loved the way she managed, I love how calm she was versus my crazy all the time, right? And so I was always drawn to her. So I knew right then she was the next person I was going to approach. And I didn't know, and I don't know that much about her. I didn't sort of know. All these women are super busy and have their own really, you know, businesses and crazy lives. But again, I mean, maybe I'm misremembering this, but I remember kind of just well, what would you think about? And you're like,
And I was thinking
yes.
the same thing at the same time.
Well, well, and the crazy thing
Yeah.
is to follow on. So this was when I was just talking to her about becoming an owner.
Yeah.
And then once she said yes, which was sort of immediate, like, yeah, I'm really interested in this. Yeah. Well, then subsequently, I didn't know this, but our minds were both churning. And I started talking to my husband. I'm like, I want her to be the CEO. She needs to not only be one of the owners, she needs to run it because her family has this background and she's the right person. And so, yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Yeah, it was.
So when that happened, when that question was asked of you, what was your immediate reaction?
Did you ask? Because I think I asked her. It was one of those conversations where we were both thinking it so loudly in our heads that we probably heard each other say it. And I was like, I want to be an owner, but I want to do more. And I think she said, well, I've been wanted to ask you if you could do more, and it just happened and it was done.
We were both on the same wavelength.
On the same page with it. It just makes sense for me, as Melinda shared. My background is in publishing, and I'm a journalist by nature and by training, and so to me it feels like going home. It was really interesting the way that, and brilliant, quite honestly, the way that Melinda has put the structure together, because women often in business are undercapitalized, and we don't collaborate in some of the same ways that we see other folks collaborate. And so because of the community she's built, the reputation, the product, the magazine is an amazing product that lifts people in our community. It just made sense for me, and I wanted to, do some more writing and do some more editorial strategy and those sorts of things, because that's quite honestly where I come from.
So let's now talk about that structure, because a lot of companies, they preach diversity, equity, and inclusion, and there maybe is one training and then that's it.
Yeah.
But you really are putting this into action. So you have 7 women.
Well, there are 8 of us total right
Okay.
now, but we actually have structured the company to allow for 10 equal owners. And basically, we have 2 slots open, and they will need to meet, our diversity criteria. In addition to the business and influence and the things that we're looking for, and the passion and the commitment. But and the way that we've actually structured the legal documents is if, 20 years from now, I don't know if I'll make it that long, but if anybody wants to, leave and sell their share, for example, the board has to approve. Yeah. So the whole idea is this becomes generational. This becomes so that others then can come in and carry this torch. And it will, by its nature, be diverse, because the women who are passing that baton are going to be passing that. So it's not a pledge that we all sign to say, okay, yeah, we're all sort of committed to this, but, depending on what comes along. No. This is really built into the ownership structure, and we were very purposeful about that.
Okay. And so we have this picture of this beautiful picture, women in suits, different colors of all the women who you now have as owners. And so there's so many phenomenal women in Austin. How did you decide? How did you approach all of the people that you approached?
That's a great question. And interestingly, obviously because of what I do and my networks and my access, I knew so many of these women. And because of the work we've been doing in this diversity and inclusion space, I had a lot of those connections. And so some of this was I just started having conversations with people that I trusted. Yeah. Gretel Pereira, who is a phenomenal Latina woman. She is she's at Expedia now in PR and just has a phenomenal career, but she also is a co-founder of Latinas in Tech. It's an organization, and I went to talk to her, and I no sooner opened a conversation, and it was like, yes, I need to be part of this. I want to be part of this. And I can tell you, when you asked that first question about how you feel, and we're like, oh gosh, it's exhausting, but I think deep down what I feel is just really humbled. Just humbled to have built something that other women would immediately want to. And this is not a freebie. They are buying into this company. These are owner. It's very humbling to me. And knowing that the thing that I am, have this deep passion and have had this deep passion and still have, others have as well and are willing to support me on this journey. And that's what that's what Austin Woman is all about.
Yeah.
That is what we are all about. And all these women are champions of other women, and they've always been that way. And now the platform that they have to do the work that they were already doing in our community is now exponential, and the ability to scale the platform is exponential with their influence.
And so for you, Sharonda, I know that you share that passion as well, and you're such a force in the community. What is your vision now for Austin Woman? Because Austin Woman has changed. The Austin Woman has changed a lot, you know, post-pandemic, and we've been through a lot. And so what's your vision?
So my vision, and the vision that we share as owners, is to ensure that Austin is the place. If you are a professional woman, if you're a woman in business, if you own your own company, that this is the place for you to grow and thrive. And that there's an ecosystem that is supported by all of the amazing women that live and work in this community, and that Austin Woman Magazine and all of the platforms that we provide are at the center of that. So that's the vision. You know, I think another way to look at it is, before I moved to Texas, and when I was a little girl, I would turn on my television and watch Austin City Limits. And that's a local program that now has a global impact. And I think that that's what can happen with Austin Woman Magazine. That's what Melinda has laid out for us. And so now we're taking it to the next iteration of the next evolution in the work.
And so earlier you talked about how this maybe feels for you like a full circle moment. Did you ever envision yourself in this type of position, you know, being an owner of a magazine and being able to be a role model really for people who have women of color?
So you asking me that question, originally I was going, no, you know, I've done print and newspaper, but I have always looked up to Oprah. You know, and so I guess at some point we all wanted to be her, right? And so I'm not Oprah.
Sharonda will not be on the cover of her magazine every month.
Well, maybe. We should try that. But, you know, to have that kind of business acumen, the ability to lift women, to lift the issues that women in business care about, that's powerful. So I don't think I ever specifically thought that I would be doing that, but it just, as I look back, it makes sense, right? It just makes sense.
Yeah. And so for both of you, for the young girls watching, or even for your younger self, what would you tell her in this moment?
Gosh, well, I mean, I think that I would tell her, and I think we're demonstrating that it is possible. Everything is possible. And yes, I hope that all young women, and certainly young women of color, see this incredible opportunity, and that coming together to be what we lovingly call co-conspirators, you know, which is a deepening beyond allies, right? We are co-conspirators, and that this is what is so powerful, and that we have to do this. This is how we have to go forward.
I would say ask for help, because what Melinda is essentially doing is saying, I need help to grow this beyond my vision and my dream, and bring in these amazing, brilliant, accomplished women to support that. Ask for help, and then don't be afraid to make connections outside of your community, right? There's such a richness in life that happens when we step outside of our cultural identity, you know, our identities, and
our age,
right? There are different ages, generations on the ownership group. So because it enriches your life, and I don't think that I started doing that intentionally soon enough, but I would definitely tell my younger self, ask for help more often. Like, don't be afraid to be vulnerable, and to say, I don't know it all, and I don't know how to do it all, and, you know, come lend your expertise, your genius to this, and, you know, take risk and meet new people and connect. Yeah.
Good advice for us all. I'm like, I need to take notes. And going back to just ownership, I think that that is so important, especially in communities of color, because many times you don't think beyond what you see, you know?
Yes.
And so can you speak to that just in terms of the importance of ownership and how it is something that's attainable, even though people might not think it is?
Yeah. So I will say I'm a fourth generation entrepreneur. So I grew up in a space where I knew I always had options, you know, and the options were to work for someone else or run your own business. And that was pretty normal in the conversations that we had. As an employer, it's really important to me and as an owner that we provide a pathway, particularly for women and women of color, that maybe didn't have that same kind of training, to understand that there are options for your life. And depending on where you are in life and what you want to accomplish, you get to choose how you show up in the marketplace.
Absolutely, and I will say I'm glad you keyed in on the importance of ownership. In fact, we've talked about it because we're kind of calling ourselves a board. You know, we're all sort of board members, but we are very purposely not using that terminology to the outside world because we want everyone to understand, no, this isn't just a board, these are owners, and it is an important distinction. It's a real important distinction, and I agree. It's just seeing that opportunity, and I hope that other businesses that are looking to expand in this way, looking to truly diversify, look to this model. I mean, maybe someone's done it out there before, I don't know, but I think it's pretty unique and special, and we're gonna show them how incredibly successful it is.
All right, and then one last question. So the community will hear about this, the announcement will go out. Again, like I used the word earlier, just a monumental shift. And so what do you hope that they take away from the announcement, from just this new really business model that you all have created to amplify voices, to empower women in Austin and really the Central Texas community?
Well, I'll start, and then you can. I hope that the women take away that this is possible, right? And that there are some very accomplished women in this town who are doing amazing work and making amazing contributions to our community and to our marketplace. And one of the things I hope that they take away is you don't have to do this alone. You know, our culture is so, rugged individualism, and you pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That's not really true. Anybody who's successful has support, has a team that's helping them be successful. And so to be this public and to demonstrate that, I hope that women see themselves in it and they can take the risk to be able to do that for those who aren't doing that. I also hope that women understand the power of collaboration, right? And that what Melinda has done is just genius and brilliant, and I hope you write a book about it. Because, these are women who, in their own rights, I could sit at their feet every single day and learn something new. And the fact that we get to come together to intentionally lift other women, I hope that the women see themselves in that we are all going to be elevated and lifted because of what Melinda has put together.
And I hope that when women see this announcement, they feel excitement and hope that they have a place, that no matter where you are in your career, in your life, it's not always easy being a woman. It's certainly not easy being a woman of color. And we also live in the state of Texas. There's some challenges being a woman, and I think that we want to be that place that uplifts, that you can find the stories, the role models, the inspired passion. I could go on for 2 hours and tell you over the years how many people who have stopped me at events, who have come by my office and said, I read this story and it changed my life. I made a decision to do X, Y, Z, to start a business, to make a change because of the story you told. Role models are everything. And this is just going to get bigger and better and more expansive. And so I hope they come running towards us.
Oh. Anything else? Oh.
I hope they advertise too.
Well,
it's also it's important, right? It's important that we not only show up and get dressed really, really nice and and enjoy the sisterhood, but that we also provide the resources so that this institution can continue. So, buying tickets, selling ads, being a sponsor of what Austin Women is doing will lift other women as well. And I just don't want to leave out that important part because it's a business.
That's why she's the CEO.
Yes, ensuring sustainability.
Yes.